it's like there's something that's just so primal about it. That's I don't know. It's and I've since then I've just introduced a bunch of my friends to it, and that's been really fun because now it's like we train together and we just like wrestle together, and just I don't know. There's like a certain intensity to it that I like, and it's sort of, I don't know. Maybe it's like there's this cultural thing where maybe a lot of people haven't considered it,
Right.
but I've had 100% hit rate of introducing friends to it and converting them to people who now train. Every single person who I've kind of shown it to is like, this is amazing. This is like obviously how I should be training and working out.
Yeah. That's very impressive that it's 100%. You must have some solid friends, because a lot of people get turned off by the amount of effort that's involved, but they get excited by the problem solving, which is the more fascinating part, like learning the techniques and focusing on memorizing the techniques and developing the skills, and then drilling. Like that's probably one of the most important things about jiu-jitsu that people don't do enough of is drilling. Like I made some of my biggest leaps in martial arts from like blue belt to purple belt just through constant drilling. I was drilling all the time with my friend Eddie Bravo, so we were always working on techniques, and so I was able to like progress much quicker. And then I noticed when I stopped doing that later, my progress kind of stagnated. It's like there's a real clear correlation between the amount of energy you put into drilling and observing the technique, and then just going through the motion with like someone offering like 20%, 30% resistance. It's just not as fun. Like sparring is the most fun. Like you immediately want to just slap hands and start rolling. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really trust Dave, and so I think it's also.
Yeah, Dave's great.
Yeah, and I'm also just depending on what's going on in my life and work that day. Like some days I like have the energy to go spar, and some days it's good to just go drill. And you know, it's like, all right, there's a lot going on. There's, it's better to just go do something like 20 times in a row.
Both things are important, but if you can force yourself to drill more than you spar, you'll get better.
Yeah.
It's really important. It's like the most important thing, and it's the thing that people do the least of. Because like to really like carve those pathways in your mind, like when someone is in this position, you do that, and then you immediately get your knee in position, you shift your hips. It's just, it gets driven into your programming, so that in the flow of an actual rolling session, it just happens.
Yeah.
You see Tom Hardy just won a bunch of fucking
I did.
matches. Tom Hardy is like an ass kicker. Him and Mario Lopez are out there competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments. Like, this is wild. And they're both like beginners. They're both like blue belts. I'm like, that's incredible.
Well, maybe I'll get there for my 40th birthday in a
You
couple
should
years.
do it. Bourdain did it. He did it when he was like, God, I think he was like 60.
I just think I do a lot of stuff like this with friends, but I also just find like wrestling around with friends is
fun.
Just, it's awesome.
Fun. Yeah, wrestling is fun. Jiu-jitsu is even more fun because it's like wrestling with like finishes. Yeah. I'm excited that you're into it. It's really cool. And I think, it really enhances your enjoyment of watching it on television because you know what's happening.
But there's also like a lot of good parallels, I think, in philosophy for life and work and all that. I mean, both surfing and foiling and jiu-jitsu, MMA, it's like, I think it sort of teaches you about like the flow and momentum of things. And I think business is like this in a similar way, where it's like the hardest thing is knowing when you're in a position where you need to push through versus sort of developing the intuition for when like, all right, when like the momentum is just going in the other direction. It's like, all right, you're not going to be able to pump over this swell. If you keep your weight in this direction, you're going to get swept. Right. I do think, it's a super concrete thing.